Om Namo Narayanaya. Today we are reading the Amrita Bindu Upanishad. The mind is chiefly spoken of as two kinds, pure and impure. The impure mind is that which is possessed of desire, and the pure is that which is devoid of desire. It is indeed the mind that is the cause of men's bondage and liberation. The mind that is attached to sense objects leads to bondage, while disassociated from sense objects, it tends to lead to liberation. So they think. Since liberation is predicated of the mind devoid of desire for sense objects, therefore the mind should always be made free of such desire by the seeker after liberation. When the mind, with its attachment for sense objects annihilated, is fully controlled within the heart and thus realizes its own essence, then that supreme state is gained. The mind should be controlled to that extent in which it gets merged in the heart. This is jhana, realization, and this is dhyana, meditation also. All else is argumentation and verbiage. The supreme state is neither to be thought of as being something external and pleasing to the mind, nor unworthy to be thought of as something unpleasant to the mind, nor is it to be thought of as being in the form of sense pleasure, but to be thought of as the essence of the ever-manifest, eternal supreme bliss itself. That Brahma, which is free from all partiality, is attained in that state. One should duly practice concentration on Om first, through the means of its letters, then meditate on Om without regard to its letters. Finally, on the realization with this latter form of meditation on Om, the idea of the non-entity is attained as entity. That alone is Brahman. Without component parts, without doubt, and without taint, realizing I am that Brahman, one becomes the immutable Brahman. Brahman is without doubt endless, beyond reason and analogy, beyond all proofs and causeless knowing, which the wise one becomes free. The highest truth is that pure consciousness, which realizes there is neither control of the mind, nor its coming into play. Neither am I bound, nor am I a worshipper, neither am I a seeker after liberation, nor one who has attained liberation. Verily, the Atman should be known as being the same in its states of wakefulness, dreaming, and dreamless dream. For him who has transcended the three states, there is no more rebirth. Being the one, the universal soul is present in all beings. Though one, it may be seen as many, like the moon in the water. Just as it is the jar which, being removed from one place to another, changes places, and not the akasa enclosed in the jar, so is the jiva which resembles the akasa. When various forms like the jar are broken again and again, the akasa does not know them to be broken, but he knows perfectly. Being covered by maya, which is mere sound, it does not through darkness know the akasa. When ignorance is rent asunder, it being then itself only sees the unity. The Om, as word, is the supreme Brahman. After that has vanished, that imperishable Brahman remains. The wise one should meditate on that imperishable Brahman if he desires the peace of his soul. Two kinds of Vidya ought to be known, the word Brahman and the supreme Brahman. One having mastered the word Brahman attains to the highest Brahman. After studying the Vedas, the intelligent one who is solely intent on acquiring knowledge and realization should discard the Vedas altogether, as the man who seeks to obtain rice discards the husk. Of cows which are of diverse colors, the milk is of the same color. The intelligent one regards jhana as the milk, and the many branched Vedas as the cows. Like the butter hidden in milk, the pure consciousness resides in every being, that ought to be constantly churned out by the churning rod of the mind. Taking hold of the rope of knowledge, one should bring out, like fire, the supreme Brahman. I am that Brahman, indivisible, immutable, and calm. Thus it is thought of. In whom reside all beings, and who resides in all beings by virtue of his being the giver of all grace to all? I am the soul of the universe, the supreme being. I am that soul of the universe, the supreme being. Thus ends this Upanishad. So this reminds me a lot of the Maha Upanishad, which you also find on this channel. It talks a lot about the mind and not being the mind, and it also mentions a key point which is mentioned here. You can seek after liberation, But the seeking of liberation is part of the illusion. So don't seek after liberation. I know, it's totally confusing. It sounds very Buddhist, but you get rid of illusion to find liberation. But the seeking also is part of the illusion. So just, you have to back up from all of it, and then you will achieve liberation. It's very difficult to understand on a rational level, or maybe it's not. I don't know. There was something here I really liked. Where was the line? It was so cool. It said, after studying the Vedas, the intelligent one who is solely intent on acquiring knowledge and realization should discard the Vedas altogether. I just love that. So you study this, and then you let them go. And I think that's so cool. What it doesn't say is just ignore them altogether from the start. It doesn't say that at all. But that's what I see a lot of people do around here. They want to have realization. They want to have this God realization, this liberation, this whatever term they want to use, but they don't do any studying. They just dump it all together. Oh, the Vedas are long. I can't find the books, though. Actually, you can if you Google. I don't have time to read. I'm good to go. But that's not what any of these texts say. None of them say to start off dumping and then just always ignore. Learn it and then move on. Basically, learn it, digest it, and then move past it. I play bass. I started on guitar when I was 14, but I'm not a guitar player, I'm a bass player. And I just remember when I first started learning chords, and the F bar chord is so hard, or whatever. It was so hard. I was like, I just want to play the blues. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to be like B.B. King, you know. But I couldn't do that. Or I could learn a riff that he had, and I did. It was this little 4-note riff, and it sounded just like him. But I couldn't go beyond that. I didn't know anything. So I had to learn, and I had to learn theory, and then I moved to a different instrument, and I'm still learning theory all these years later. But you have to learn that. But then there also comes a point where you start digesting it, and it becomes second nature. And then you're like, oh, I understand how this works. And then you start moving beyond it very naturally. You start going beyond, oh, that F chord, oh, yeah, I can modify that. That's easy. You know, or I don't need a full bar chord. I can do something like a jazz chord. You start going beyond it, and it just it just happens very naturally. And then you start playing like B.B. King or whoever, but in your own way. But you need the basics first. That's what this is telling you, basically. But so many people, they want to be B.B. King, but they don't want to learn anything. And I see it. And music's just a really good example, because I think maybe many of you play an instrument and you struggle with things like, I can't do this. But then it becomes second nature. The muscle memory they talk about. And then you start doing things, I didn't do, and you start understanding stuff and hearing stuff, and it just becomes second nature. We hope. And if you study. We don't do this to religion, though. We jettison religion day one, and we expect to be the B.B. King guru. Doesn't work that way. Anyways, those are my thoughts on this Upanishad. I think it's really great. It's a nice little read. Please share what you think. Pick up the conversation from what I've said, or something in the Upanishad, or anything at all. And until the next video, thank you for watching. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.